Hallmark movies would eat this shit up. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddie, and this video is going to be my August wrap up. August was probably my best month this year. I've read 12 books, gotten really situated here at our new house. I have been able to read a lot more. 4 out of the 12 books were audiobooks. I drive a lot to and from work, and it's like an hour drive every day. I've been able to listen to a lot of books, which has been really helpful. Kicking it off with a bang, Beartown by Frederick Backman. This book will, I think, forever have a special place in my heart. Beartown, I understand, is a trilogy. I've only read the first one. I do plan to read the other 2, but it's not on like my top priority right now. Even with the touchy topics in this book, it's a book that everyone should read. This is a really powerful book, and it sets place in a really small hockey town. And when I mean hockey town, I mean hockey means the world to everyone who lives here. Hockey's about the only good thing in this town. The town is kind of dying almost. Places are going out of business, and it's a run-down town. But the one thing saving this town is hockey. And even when there are some really questionable actions from some hockey players, who does the town side with? It makes you question values. I definitely think that you should look up the trigger warnings to this book. Make sure nothing bothers you. Please read this book. You will gain something out of it. I cried a lot. Could not recommend this book enough. I did give it 5 out of 5 stars. So the next 2 books that I'm going to talk about, I do have a vlog coming out actually after this video, so stay tuned for that. Boyfriend Material and Husband Material. My thoughts on these books. I don't know how many people are going to hate me after this. Let's just go over the star ratings really quick. Boyfriend Material, I gave 3 out of 5, and Husband Material, I gave 2 out of 5. These were really disappointing in my opinion because this was a new release that I've been looking forward to, and I picked this one up because this one was coming out. I'm just gonna hold up one. Luke and Oliver, I loved the idea of them being together, but once they were actually together in Boyfriend Material, I felt nothing. I didn't feel a damn thing. I thought that Oliver deserved a lot more. I thought that Luke was a mess. Even though that I'm okay with hot messes, I'm totally okay with a hot mess, okay? Luke was a hot mess who did not develop as a character. He stayed a hot mess, where usually you kind of see Oliver bring out the best in Luke, and I just did not see that. And that is very evident in Husband Material. This is set 2 years after Boyfriend Material, and Luke still was so childish. And I was like, how has his character not developed? Maybe give it a try if you liked Boyfriend Material. Maybe you will like where this goes, but I was not a fan of where Husband Material took the story. Kind of a bummer. Not my favorite, but the covers are so cute. I'm gonna keep them anyway. Book 4 was actually a novella. It was Stuck With You by Ali Hazelwood. I've been listening to her novellas recently. I think they're called the STEMinist novellas? Yeah. Because okay, whatever. I've liked these novellas a lot. This one was not my favorite. The last one I read, I forgot what it was even called. They are the easiest audiobooks to listen to ever. They're like 3 hours, and I listen on 1.5 speed usually, so it's like an hour and a half audiobook. It's very simple. The sex scenes are really spicy. They're cute. They're good. I like Ali Hazelwood. So I liked this book. I gave it 3 stars. If you follow me on Goodreads, you might have seen my review on this. It was a little miscommunication because that's the whole book. The next book was completely not planned at all. This wasn't on my TBR. I was scrolling through Libby. I was like, I need to drive to work. What can I listen to? Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Wow, this was another book that was kind of like Beartown, where it had some values and some morals that really like made you think. Love Eleanor. I love Eleanor. I did think if I read this book physically, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much as listening to it. I don't think if I was reading it, it would have held my attention very well. This is another book where I definitely think everyone should read it. There's something you can gain out of this book. It's not necessarily that the plot is good. It's not about the plot. It's about the character. It's about Eleanor. And you've got to just kind of be open-minded when you read about her, because she can be frustrating at times, but she has a really tough past. She's been through a lot of trauma. She is not completely fine. She's kind of the embodiment of being socially awkward, but as the book goes on, you slowly see Eleanor start opening up. up, she makes a new friend, and you start loving their interactions together. It's about Eleanor becoming this ambitious woman. I think this book could make someone way more compassionate and sympathetic and of other people. It was a wonderful, wonderful book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. See, now looking back, I'm more fond of it than I was reading it. I was annoyed while reading it. I did not love it as much as I thought I would. It is about a YouTuber who flips houses for a living, and she's almost at 1 million subscribers, and she ends up finding this beautiful, beautiful Victorian home in a really small town and hires a landscaper to help. And the landscaper, I don't even remember his name, Silas, and he was very, very upfront with his feelings from the beginning, which we love a confident character. Literally being like, I'm gonna marry you. The first time they met, he was like, you're the one I'm gonna marry. And I was like, okay, little headstrong, but that's all right. I loved the setting of the book. I loved the other characters, but Silas was such a turnoff for me going through the book. His character had a lot of red flags. But a lot of the stuff that Silas was doing, he was really overly possessive. He was kind of controlling. When Silas wasn't in the picture, it was a great book, but Silas was, that's why I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't like Silas. Silas was a turn off for me. It's still a cute read, and I know it's really popular right now on Book Talk, so if you did want to read this, totally for it. It's a really good book, but just be aware that, like, I thought what Silas was doing was very red flaggy. That's not a word, but that's okay. Man, I am just on a roll with these like really hard-hitting books this month because I read Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. First of all, this book was basically set in my hometown in Richmond, Virginia. A little bit like kind of all over Virginia, but a little bit in the city. I was familiar with the street names and the stores that were visited. I didn't know that going into the book, so when they said Richmond, Virginia in the first like chapter, this is crazy. It was like meant to be. I just moved out of Richmond and I'm kind of homesick. It just felt like I was meant to read this book. This is another book that I decided to listen to. So after I read Eleanor Oliphant, I read Razorblade Tears. This story is about Buddy Lee and Ike. They both had sons who were married, and they did not support the marriage very well when their sons were alive. Their sons were recently murdered, and Buddy Lee and Ike decided to take it into their own hands to figure out who killed their sons. It is this emotional journey that you go on with these two men. I was not aware that I was gonna love this book as much as I did. It was hard-hitting. It's one of those books where, you know, grab a tissue box because there's some really sensitive topics and some upsetting topics that are talked about. Look up trigger warnings because there's definitely some language that I didn't love, and there were some really, really gory scenes that I did not know going into this book. I should have looked up trigger warnings and I didn't, but it's also really rewarding to see Ike and Buddy Lee come out of their homophobic mindset, and it's a great book. It's a really good book. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. I've been wanting to read more mystery thriller recently. That's why I got this book in one of my last videos. I went to 7 bookstores in 7 days and I picked up this book, Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. Sadly, I didn't love this book, and it's really short, so I did really like getting through it. It was an easy read. It just wasn't my favorite plot twist of all times. It was predictable. I did not like our main character. I don't even remember her name, and I thought she was really annoying at times. This girl, what is her name? Camille. It's about Camille. She is a reporter for, I'm pretty sure, like a news outlet in Chicago, and she's from a small town in Illinois, so she ends up going back to this small town where she grew up because there have been some recent murders. She doesn't really love her hometown, and she especially does not love her mother. Her and her mother have some odd circumstances going on. She's really uncomfortable around her mom. Maybe read it for yourself. This is an older book, so a lot of you guys have probably already read it. There's also a TV show out, I'm pretty sure. It just wasn't my favorite. Oh, what did I give it? Sorry, hold on. I have my laptop right here. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, but now looking back, I really didn't like it that much. I would probably just rank it down to like 3. Let's say 3 out of 5. My Goodreads says 3.5. Ignore that. The next book was another audiobook. I listened to The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and I actually do want to own this book one day. I'll put it with my contemporary romances. It was so good. I was scared that I was going to find it really cheesy, and it wasn't cheesy at all. I thought it was super well written. I actually listened to it in one day. I listened to it during my little free library video. So if you want to hear my thoughts as I was reading it, you can go watch that video. I'm the worst with character names. So what is her fucking name? Hannah. I feel like every contemporary female character's name is Hannah. So it's about Hannah and Jack. Jack is a celebrity and Hannah is a bodyguard, and she's done some impressive work. Her resume was really impressive as she was reading it off in like one of the first chapters. Badass female character who is given an assignment to protect or to watch over Jack. He's a movie star. He had a stalker, and they end up fake dating to kind of show Jack's family that like he's dateable, I guess. One thing that I wish was done a little bit differently, I wish that, you know, like in a movie, like in a Hallmark movie, a montage of like just like a 2-minute clip of all of these cute activities they did together. Like they went skiing, they did that, and they did that. It was like that, but in a book. It was like 2 pages in the book of like a montage of just stuff that they did together, and they didn't go into detail about it. I was like, oh man, they had like a whole month together that we didn't see. But the end, the plot twist, the stalker's husband, it was so good. Like it was so, I was not expecting it at all. I totally would recommend this book to you. If you're into contemporary romance, pick this up. Hallmark movies would eat this shit up. And I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Only 2 more books. I finished Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I finished this like 2 days ago. I didn't love it. Okay, that's a lie. I really liked it compared to The Love Hypothesis. It just wasn't my favorite. It was almost copy and paste, The Love Hypothesis. There were a lot of similarities. Levi and Adam Carlson were really similar. I still have this special place for Adam Carlson in my mind. I read The Love Hypothesis and I was like, Adam, loved him. Levi was almost Adam, but like 10 times sweeter, like a kind version of Adam. I saw this review and Levi was like the cinnamonist. He's just a really, really sweet version of Adam in my opinion. Our main character B, loved her. The humor in this book, I laughed so much in this book compared to The Love Hypothesis. This book was funny. But if you've read The Love Hypothesis, do you remember the like conference that they went to? Same thing. Do you remember the lab that they worked in? Same thing. I mentioned this in my Goodreads review. Now, we're not going to get sensitive here. I'm not going to talk about politics. But the fact that politics were brought up and you could obviously see Ali Hazelwood's opinions, I didn't love. I think that I love when authors share their opinions. I even agree with Ali Hazelwood, but I don't want politics in a contemporary romance. I'm not in for it. I don't want politics in my books. I read to escape the real world, and when I come and I read a book and the conflict at the end revolves around America's issues and it's just kind of like a statement point that Ali Hazelwood is making, not B, I don't love that. Now, again, I liked the conflict and the plot twist at the end, and I understand Ali Hazelwood's opinions, but I didn't love it in a book, and I wasn't expecting it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, this is book 11. This is the 11th book I read this month. I'm currently reading the 12th. I have like 3 more days in August left, okay? So I'll tell you guys that book in a minute. The Lies of Locke Lamora, I did read it, and I finished it. You guys, it took me 9 days. 9 days to read. That's unheard of for me in my books. I usually am like a 2 to 3 dayer. I felt like I was in this book forever. I'm gonna read straight from my Goodreads review because I don't feel like talking about this book too much. I did like it. I really liked the book. I will not be continuing the series, but I liked this book. A book that I was charmed by, but not fully invested in. The writing and the world were so immersive, but right now I don't think I'll pick up any more of the Gentleman Bastard series. Not out of dislike. I genuinely did like this story, but I'm willing to admit that I don't think I'm at the point in my reading journey to read a book like this. And what I mean by that is I am so used to series that, I don't want to say younger because I don't think Sarah J. Maas is that young, and I don't think Karen Marie Moning or Jennifer Armentrout are that young. Those are the kind of fantasy books that I am attracted to, and although this was a wonderful book, it wasn't enjoyable for me, if that makes sense. So it's a wonderful book. It was written amazingly, but it's not my kind of enjoyment and my kind of entertainment. Would I recommend it? Totally. If you think you would be into a fun, active, funny book with a found family that you actually fall for really quickly, completely pick this book up. It's dense, it's 700 plus pages, and I rated it 3 out of 5 stars, but you were a good book, and I'm going to keep you, and maybe I'll read your other books in the future, but it's just not working out for us right now. And that is it. Actually, well, I'm reading a book right now. It's Jade City by Fonda Lee. I'm on page like 120. You guys, I love it. I absolutely love this book. I don't have it with me right now. It's downstairs because I'm gonna go read, like literally after I film this, I'm gonna read it. I do have a reading vlog coming out. I've been filming my experience with it and it's wonderful. I absolutely love it. I was so nervous going into this book, you guys, like so nervous. That's the 12th book that I read in August. I haven't finished it yet. So happy with this month. Like I know a lot of the books I gave were 3 or 4 stars. Like I didn't have many 5 stars, but that's okay. Like I feel like my reviews and my ratings on Goodreads are getting a little bit more detailed. Like I'm being more picky with the books that I read, and if I genuinely think it's a 5 star, then I give it a 5 star, but I'm not just handing them out anymore. And I like that. I'm growing up a little bit. I've just been refining my ratings a little bit. All of my social media is linked down below, and my Amazon wish list is down there, so in case you want to send me your favorite book, my Goodreads, my Instagram, my Bookstagram, everything is down below. Please comment down below your favorite book in August that you read, because I always want suggestions from you guys. The second I usually get a recommendation in my comments, I go straight to Goodreads and put it on my want to read list. So please comment down below your favorite book that you read this month, and I will see you guys in the next video.